So now we are going to build a logic to print out this pattern. And don't ask me why do we need to print out this pattern. Why do we need to develop a logic to print out this pattern? Yes, you can use some five print statements to obtain the same pattern without developing any logic. Yes, you can. You will get the same result even if you directly print out these asterisks like this in this way. But that is not what we want. We want to learn the logic and we want to develop the logic making skill. So that's why we will be making a logic to print out this pattern using any programming language basically. This logic involves nested looping. So let's go into this and let's see this. Let's build the logic to achieve this. So as you can see, this is the pattern and there are 5 rows for this pattern. This is the row 1, this is row 2, row 3, row 4 and row 5, and there are 5 columns for the same pattern. And in the first row there is only 1 column, in the second row there are 2, in the third row there are 3 columns, and like that. There are a maximum of 5 columns in this pattern, and we'll see that. This is the column 1, this is the column 2, column 3, column 4 and column 5. So these are the 5 rows and the 5 columns of the pattern. So now let me write my logic. Let me tell you how I interpret this. So to print each row of the pattern, let's make a loop. Let's make one loop to print each row of the pattern, and this loop is associated with each row. This loop is associated with printing each row of the pattern. All right, and in each row there may be 1 to 5 columns. It might be 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, 5 columns. A minimum of 1 column and a maximum of 5 columns will be there in every row in this given pattern. So to print each asterisk or star or whatever you call it in a row, let's make another loop inside the outer loop. So we are making an inner loop inside an outer loop, and this loop is actually associated with printing the columns, with actually printing the asterisk. So this inner loop actually takes this responsibility of deciding how many columns should be there in each row. Hope you understand that. And the next thing is, as I have told you earlier, the outer loop is associated with the rows and the inner loop is associated with the columns. So since there are 5 rows maximum, let's make the outer loop iterate when the I value is between 1 and 5. So the range for the outer for loop is between 1 and 5, which means as long as the I value lies between 1 and 5, the outer for loop is going to be iterated. All right, so I'm using the value I because I'm used to it. Whenever I start a loop, I automatically, I don't know, that's my habit to take the variable I, but you can use any variable, like you can say A or B or C, any variable. Okay, and then since the number of asterisks are increasing per each row gradually by 1, let's make the inner loop execute when j is between 1 and I. What this means is the inner loop is going to be executed as long as the variable j is between 1 and I. So for example, if the value of I is 1, then the inner loop is going to be executed only once, because 1 is less than or equal to 1. There is only one possibility, and if this j becomes 2, it's not going to satisfy the condition. So like that, this inner loop executes when the j value is between 1 and the variable I. I is actually the variable for the outer loop. Hope you understand that. Now let's go ahead and visualize this. So here we started a loop 1, and this loop 1 executes or iterates when I is between 1 and 5, numeric 1 and 5. And inside this loop 1 we started a loop 2, and this loop 2 executes or iterates when the j value is between 1 and I. Okay, so I is the variable that we have used in the loop 1. Please note that, please observe that. Okay, and the minimum value of I will be 1 and the maximum value will be 5, because we are setting the condition in that way. So let's come to the first iteration. So the iteration of outer loop. Initially the value of I is 1. As you could see, the value of I is 1. Alright. So since I less than or equal to 5, that is I ranges between 1 and 5, the loop executes. So initially the value of I is 1 and 1 less than or equal to 5 is satisfied. It's a true conditional statement. That's why the loop is going to be executed. So since the loop executes, the control comes inside the loop, and then inside this outer loop, do you remember that we have an inner loop with the variable j? Yes, we do. So that loop is going to be executed. And this is the first iteration of the inner loop, and initially the value of j, which is the variable for the inner loop, is 1. We are initializing the value of j is 1, and the value of I is 1, as we know. And now since j less than or equal to I, which means 1 less than or equal to 1 is true, the loop executes. And when the loop executes, the control comes inside the inner loop, and after it executes all the statements inside the inner loop, the j value is going to be incremented by 1. So once the j value is incremented by 1, the second iteration starts, iteration of inner loop. It don't start actually. Once the j value is incremented by 1, now in the second iteration, the value of j is 2 and the value of I is 1. J less than or equal to I implies 2 less than or equal to 1, and this 2 less than or equal to 1 is actually a false statement, which means the condition is not satisfied. So since the condition is not satisfied, the loop does not execute. Okay, let me make use of this this pen tool here to just point out things which I'm referring to. Anyway, so in the second iteration, as I've told you, I'll repeat it once again. The value of j is 2 and the value of I is 1. So 2 less than or equal to 1 is false. So since the value is false, the condition is not satisfied, the loop does not execute. And what means when I say the loop does not execute? It's nothing but the inner loop is done executing. There are no more iterations left, so the inner loop terminates. Okay, so after all the iterations of the inner loop are done, the I value is going to get incremented by 1. That is, I is going to be equal to I plus 1. So like this, it's going to be equal to I plus 1. So now starts the iteration of outer loop 2. So this is the second iteration of the outer for loop. Please note that this is the second iteration of the outer for loop. Okay, and here, since the value of I is incremented by 1 recently, the value of I will be 2 now. And since I less than or equal to I less than or equal to 5 is a true statement, the condition is satisfied, the loop executes. And when the loop executes, it's going to come, the control is going to come inside, and there's a for loop inside, inner for loop, not for loop, it can be a while loop, anything. Then there is another loop inside the outer for loop, and the iteration of the inner loop starts again. It starts again from the start. So the value of j is 1 again, the value of I is 2, and since j is less than or equal to 1, which means 1 less than or equal to 2 is a true statement, the condition is satisfied, and thus the value, the loop executes actually. And once the loop executes, it's going to execute all the statements inside this inner loop, and once it do so, once all the statements inside the loop are executed, the j value is incremented by 1. So the j value in the next iteration is going to be 2, j equal to 2, and this is the iteration of inner loop 2. This is the second iteration of the inner loop, and the value of I of course remains 2 because the value of I is not yet incremented. So this condition, j less than or equal to I, is going to be satisfied since 2 less than or equal to 2 is true. So once again the loop is going to execute, and all the statements inside the inner loop are executed, and the j value is at last incremented by 1. So in the iteration of the in the third iteration of the inner loop, the j value is incremented by 1 previously, so the value of j is 3, and the value of I is it remains 2 because we haven't yet incremented it. So 3 less than or equal to 2 is not 2, it is false, so the loop does not execute, and the inner loop actually terminates. Alright, so the inner loop is going to be terminated, and what happens next? Yeah, you guessed it right. After all the iterations of the inner loop are done, I value is incremented by 1. So I is now incremented by 1, which means 1 is added to the value of I. So guess the value of I now. Yes, I equal to 3. So here goes the third iteration of the outer loop, and in this iteration the value of I is 3 now in the third iteration of the outer loop, and since I less than or equal to 5 is true, the loop executes and the control comes to the inner loop. And the inner loop is going to be started from from the start, and the value of j is 1 again, and the value of I is 3 as we saw here. And then since j less than or equal to I is true, the loop executes, and at the end the value of j is incremented by 1. In the second iteration of the inner loop, the value of j is 2 and the value of I is 3, and this condition is once again satisfied, so the loop executes, and finally the value of j is incremented by 1. And now goes the third iteration of the loop. The value of j is 3 now, and the value of I is also 3, so this condition is once again satisfied, and the j value is once again incremented by 1. So now we have the fourth iteration of the inner for loop, and now the value of j is 4, and this condition no longer satisfies, so this is not going to satisfy, which means the loop does not execute, and the inner loop terminates. So after all these iterations are done, the I value is incremented by 1 as usual. So now let's come to the fourth iteration of the outer loop, and the value of I will be 4 now, and since I less than or equal to 5 is true, the loop executes, and here goes the first iteration of the inner loop. Once again the value of j equal to 1, I equal to 4, this condition is satisfied, loop executes, and finally it's incremented by 1. In the second iteration, the value of j equal to 2, I is 4, and this condition is satisfied, and the loop executes and the j value is incremented by 1. So not exactly right after this condition is satisfied, the j value is incremented by 1. Please note that after this condition is satisfied, the loop executes, which means the control comes inside the loop, and any statement which is present inside the loop is going to be executed, and only after those statements are executed, the j value is going to be incremented. So please do note that thing. And in the third iteration, the value of j equal to 3, I is 4, this condition is satisfied, so j value is incremented by 1, and it proceeds to the next iteration. So here comes the fourth iteration. In this, the j value is 4 and the I value is 4. This condition is once again satisfied, so all the statements inside the loop are executed, and finally the j value is incremented by 1. And after this is done, it's going to come to the next iteration, the fifth iteration, but unfortunately the j value will be 5 in the fifth iteration, so which means the condition not satisfied, so the loop is going to be terminated. I didn't represent it here, but I think I forgot to represent it here, but I hope you understand what I'm telling you. So after all these iterations are done, after all the iterations of the inner loop are done, the I value is incremented by 1 as usually. Oops, sorry, I represented here. I'm such a mess. Anyways, I think you understood it, so I'll not be discussing about this thing. So let's go to the fifth iteration of the outer for loop, right? So this is the outer for loop 5, iteration of outer for loop 5. The value of I is going to be 5, and this thing is true. I is less than or equal to 5 is true, so the loop executes. So coming to the inner for loop, this is the first iteration of the inner for loop, and the value of j 1, I is 5. This condition is satisfied, the loop executes, and finally j value is incremented by 1. So in the second iteration, j is 2, I is 5, this is true, j value is incremented by 1. In the third iteration, j value will be 3, I value remains to be 5, and the loop executes and the j value is incremented by 1. Coming to the fourth iteration, the value of j will be 4 over here, and the value of 5 will be value of I will be 5, and this condition is satisfied. The loop is executed and the j value is incremented by 1. So iteration of loop 5, j is 5, I is 5, and this is satisfied. Loop executes, j is incremented by 1. and iteration of inner loop 6, j value is this time equal to 6, but I value is just 5. It remains to be 5, and this statement, this condition statement, is not true anymore. So the loop is not going to be executed, and the inner loop terminates. And after the inner loop terminates, as we know, the value of I is incremented by 1. So now let's come back to the logic that we have written to print out this pattern. And to these points, let me add 2 more points, and those 2 points will complete our task of printing this pattern. So the next point, the next point in the logic we'll be writing is inside the inner loop, print asterisk. Okay, so inside this inner loop, we are going to print the asterisk, and then after the inner loop and inside the outer loop, give an empty print statement to print each row in a separate line. So we don't want all of the pattern to be printed in a single row, right? So we want the asterisk to be printed in 5 separate rows. So that's why we are giving an empty print statement, so that each row is printed separately in every line. I mean, in each line, each row is printed. That's what I mean. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's see the Java code to print out this pattern. First off, I declare a for loop like that, and this for loop is going to range between I equal to 1 and I is less than or equal to 5. The initial value of I is 1, and this condition I less than or equal to 5 should be satisfied for the for loop to execute. And I++ is not going to execute first, but only after all the statements inside this outer for loop are executed. After that, this I++ is going to be executed. So please note that. So inside that, this is the inner loop, and it runs when the j value is between 1 and it is less than or equal to 5, which means it should run 5 times. And did you notice something? I have intentionally done a mistake. Guess what it is? I don't know if you guessed it or not. Okay, anyway, let me reveal the mistake. This should not be 5. This should be I. Alright, I have told you, I have explained it to you when I'm talking about the logic for this, right? So the j value should be less than or equal to I. That's what we did, right? Okay, so this is the initialization. The j value is initialized as 1, and this is the condition for the for loop, and the for loop is going to be executed only if this condition is satisfied. And this j++, similarly, just like the outer loop, only after all the statements inside this loop are executed, this operation is going to be executed. Or in other words, the j value is going to be incremented by 1 only after all the statements inside the for loop are executed. Okay, so inside this inner for loop, what we are doing is, as I told you, the last 2 points of the logic, print out the asterisk. So inside this inner for loop, I'm printing out the asterisk followed by a space, so that the pattern don't look messy. Okay, it's optional actually. So inside this inner for loop, as I've told you, I'm printing out the asterisk, and then inside the outer for loop and after the inner for loop, that is what I mentioned in the last point, right? Inside the outer for loop, so this is the outer for loop, and I'm mentioning it inside it, and I'm mentioning it after the inner for loop, right? So I'm giving an empty print statement. What this does is it takes the control to the new line. It takes the pointer to the new line, which means we want each and every row to be printed on separate lines. We don't want all of the rows to be printed in a single line. So that's why we want 5 different lines. That's why we are making use of this empty print statement, which is going to take the pointer to the next line, and that in that way we are going to have 5 rows in 5 separate lines. Hope you understand that. So that is it. That is all the program in Java to make this pattern happen. Now let's see how the pattern is printed. So that is how the pattern is printed. Okay, now let's go to the next example. Let's say you're given a string to process. How do you reverse the string and print the reversed string? So this is a question. So just pause the video over here and think about the logic which you will be approaching in order to solve this task, in order to write a program for this task. I'm not asking you to write the code, but I'm asking you to write down the logic. So just pause the video, think about it, and come back. So I am assuming that you at least tried making your own logic. Anyways, I'm just going to show you my logic, and before that I am going to write the pseudocode. Okay, the pseudocode of I'm not going to write the actual code. I'm going to write the pseudocode, and pseudocode is nothing but it's something which can be understood by humans. It is a way of describing your logic, and please note that this pseudocode can't be understood by computers. It is just for human understanding. It's just for understanding the logic which you have written, and it can be understood only by humans. Anyway, let me show you my logic, what approach I would follow. What logic I would approach to solve this task. So firstly, I'm going to input the string from the user. So example, let's say the user inputted the string as Teja. So the string I have now is Teja, which is my name. Anyway, now take each character of the given string. So each character of the given string is T, E, J, and A. So just like that. And now create a new string variable st_reversed. So this st_reversed is actually a variable name, and you can give it anything you want. Just give it anything you want. It's your program, or it's your pseudocode at least. So you can give it anything you want, any name you want. So for example, I've given it the name st_reversed, and I declared it and I initialized it with an empty string. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add each character of the string to st_reversed. So I'm going to add each character of the string to st_reversed, which is the new variable that I've recently created. And also note that I'm going to add it in such a way that the reverse of the string is obtained. The reverse of the original string is obtained. So what I mean is st_final. This is st_reversed actually, not final. Anyway, so the st_reversed is going to be AJET. So that is what I want, and this reversed string is going to be stored in the st_final. So finally we have the st_reversed equal to AJET. Okay, st_reversed equal to AJET, and this is the reverse of the string Teja. Perfect, we got the reversed string. Alright, so how do we programmatically represent the preceding logic in Python? Let me write a Python code to do the given task, the same task, reversing a string and stuff. So this is the Python code to do so. So firstly I'm going to take the string. So I've inputted the string from the user, and then as I said, I declared st_reversed variable, and I initialized it with an empty string. Okay, this is an empty string. Okay, so I just saved st_reversed in the memory. I'm just saving it in the memory. And this is the for loop. I'm starting a for loop, and this for loop, for each iteration of this for loop, the value of I is going to be one character from the string st. For example, in the first iteration, the value of I will be T, because the example that we are taking is Teja, right? So the string that we are taking is Teja. Alright, so in the first iteration the value of I will be T, and in the second iteration the value of I will be E, and then the third iteration the value of I will be J, and in the fourth iteration the value of I will be A. So for each iteration we are going to take each character from the string that we have taken from the user. So then we are saying st_reversed equal to I plus st_reversed, and initially what is the value of st_reversed? Yes, empty. So st_reversed is empty. And what is the value of I in the first iteration? Yeah, it's T. So it's going to be T plus empty string. I don't know if that looks like a T, but just think that's a T. Okay, nothing else. And after this for loop is executed, I am going to print the st_reversed variable, the final outputted variable. The final calculated or the final processed variable. Anyways, so let's go ahead and see how to do that. These are all the comments. See, this thing, as I've told you, I'm taking each character from the original string, and then I'm adding the character in such a way that the reversed string is obtained. and finally I'm printing the reversed string. So that is how I did it. Don't worry, I'll let you visualize the process of doing it later in this video. So what if I change the question? What if I extended, or if I included some extra part of the question? What if I ask you to compare the original string with the final string and print yes if they both are equal or if they both match? Then what logic would you do? Yes, I think if you are guessing it right, if you are guessing what to do next, then you are almost you got the basic idea about how to build your logic. Trust me. Okay, so just extend the same logic. That's the answer for the question that I've asked. So this is the logic for reversing the string, and for this logic just extend something, just add another point, probably 2 points. Okay, so check if st equal to st underscore reversed. St is the original string that we have inputted, and st underscore reversed is the string that we reversed from the original string, right? So, and print yes if the condition is satisfied. That's it. The second question is also answered. I hope you got it. Well, programmatically representing that preceding logic in Python. So until here we discussed, right, printing the st underscore reversed. So this is the extra part that we have added, and as you could see, I declared a conditional statement. I said if st underscore if st, which is the original string inputted from the user, is equal to the reversed string, then we are simply printing yes. So that is some extra thing that we included to answer, to make the second task done. Alright, so now it's time to visualize how this final code is going to work. Okay, so let's go. So say st equal to Teja. Say the value inputted from the user is Teja. Okay, just say it's Teja, and in the iteration 1 the value of I will be t. So as I told you, the value of I will be t in the first iteration, and since we are taking each character in the st one by one using the loop, the value of I will be t firstly, and then this statement is going to be executed. St underscore reversed is equal to I plus st underscore reversed. So st underscore reversed is nothing but this empty string, and I is nothing but the first character in the original string, which is t. So there we go. So finally the st underscore reversed will be t after the first iteration. Okay, after this first iteration. So you can see I'm saving this value over here. St underscore reversed is now equal to t. Alright, so in this iteration 2, the value of I is going to be e. So the second character in the word Teja is e, so the value of I is e, and st underscore reversed equal to I plus st underscore reversed. The same statement is going to be executed. So what is the value of I here? It's e, so e is here. And what is the value of st underscore reversed? There we go. This is the value of st underscore reversed, right? It's t. So st underscore reversed is nothing but t. So e is going to be concatenated with t. So therefore st underscore reversed is now et. Alright, so there we go. St underscore reversed is now et, as I've written here. And now let's go to the iteration 3, and in the iteration 3 value of I is j, because the third character is j in Teja. Okay, and the same statement is going to be executed. St underscore reversed is equal to I plus st underscore reversed, and I is j, st underscore reversed is et, as you can see here. So et is added here, and finally st underscore reversed is jet, and as you could see, the st underscore reversed is jet. It's visible over here, and this is the final iteration of the word. Of the word, and the value of I will be a now, which is the last character of the word Teja, T-E-J-A, and this statement is going to be executed. So I, this is the value of I, and this is the value of j, this is the value of st underscore reversed. Here we go, this is the value. So these I and st underscore reversed are going to be concatenated. In other words, they are going to be attached to one another. So finally st underscore reversed is ajet, and this is exactly the reverse of Teja. That's it, we are done. So finally st underscore reversed is AJET, which is the reverse of Teja. So we successfully obtained the reversed string of the original string which is given by the user. Okay, that is it. Now we also set a conditional statement that if the original string is equal to the reversed string, we are going to print yes. So let's see how our interpreter or compiler is going to interpret it. So this is the statement, this is the conditional statement. Is st underscore reversed equal to st? Is it? So Teja is not equal to the reversed of Teja, which is AJET. So it's not equal to AJET, which means nothing is printed. The condition is not satisfied. I'm sorry, I meant to underline it, not to strike it off. Okay, so the condition is not satisfied, therefore yes is not printed, so nothing is printed. That is how this final code is going to work. So now I'm going to give you some tasks or some problems, and I want you to build your own logic for each of these tasks. Okay, so this is the first task. I want you to write a pseudocode, or in other words, write your own logic to print out the following pattern. So this is the pattern, and if you notice something, this is actually the reverse of the pattern which we have dealt earlier in this video. So I want you to write a logic to print out this pattern on yourself. Okay, the second task is write a logic to find the factorial of a number. I hope you all know what is meant by a factorial of a number. So if you don't know, I gave a simple example over here. The factorial of 4 is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, which is equal to 24. And in the same way, the factorial of 5 will be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, which will be 120. So that is what meant by factorial of a number. So I want you to write the logic for these tasks or problems, and I'm just going to give you a hint. Use looping for both these logics, and so if you use looping for these both logics, you will be able to solve these tasks. So that will be the end of part 2, and if you want to learn more of these logics, visit my blog to read the written tutorial. The link to my blog will be blog.techraj156.com. The link will probably be in the description below or in the suggested cards above. So you can go check my blog, and if you want to see my logic for the tasks that I've given in the previous slide, and also if you want to learn more tasks and their logics, then you can also visit my blog. And also if you want a part 3, then let me know by commenting below. And for now, I'm not going to make any part 3. I'm going to end it here, and based on the response I get, I may make a part 3 of this video series. Hope you like this video. Hope you learned something about logic making in programming, and hope you'll now be able to build up your own logic, at least simple logic. And yes, of course, please do read the written tutorial on my blog for more guidance and stuff. And if I ever make a part 3, then it will be basically about more tasks, more problems, more explanation and other stuff. So comment down below to let me know that you require or you need a part 3. I will do it if I get a majority response. So thanks for watching. Thanks for patiently watching the whole video, probably, hopefully actually. So thanks for watching. Subscribe for more programming tutorials. Check my channel out to learn for programming tutorials on Java, .NET and Python. You can find tutorials on Java, .NET and Python. So check my channel out for those. Leave a thumbs up below if you like this video and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching. Cheers.